should as men honor you for the role and the position that you have in our nation. But unfortunately, as men, we have tended to do abominable things against the women of our country.
Some of the magistrates that we've worked with have said that up to 80% of their cases are sexual offences in just normal criminal courts. You know, the sexual offences courts aren't new. You know, they're not something that just happened in the last 4 years, and a lot of people forget that they have been around since 2001, since the first one was established in Weinberg here. And the problems that they had that led to the Minister of Justice in 2011 with just freezing the sexual offences courts is because people were saying it was unconstitutional and it wasn't acknowledging the rights of other types of victims to having better services.
So I think broadly one first has to understand that there are a number of departments that address sexual offences, and they're separate departments with separate leadership, separate commitments, separate annual objectives, etc. And that very often, unfortunately, lands up in different departments pulling different ways. I do think that sexual offences courts can make a big difference. The reason they can make a difference is because one of the foundations of sexual offences courts is specialisation. And once you have specialisation in any system, you're going to get a better service. So if you have specialised investigators, you have specialised prosecutors, you have specialised magistrates or judges, that invariably can only lead to better services. The criminal justice system is overburdened, it's not well streamlined, there are a lot of problems with it, it's under-resourced, there are people in terms of human resources that are not trained adequately, and all of those factors affect the entire criminal justice system and therefore must have impact on the way that sexual offences are prosecuted as well. And we also know that the number of cases that are reported is not a true reflection of the incidence of rape. There have been numerous studies, numerous pieces of research that have been done, numerous crime surveys, which indicate that a relatively small percentage of women report matters that involve rape or any form of sexual offences. So the underreporting is very high.
We've spoken to prosecutors and to magistrates where we said to them, how do you define success in your job? What is a successful case outcome? So the first thing we all think of is convictions. But they also said, as long as they feel the survivor had their day in court, as long as they feel that the survivor left in a stronger position than they arrived at. There have been other studies done where they've asked survivors about their satisfaction levels in these sexual offences courts compared to non-sexual offences courts. And the feedback was that despite having lovely new furniture and toys or whatever, it was the way in which they were treated particularly by the prosecutor and the judiciary, that made the difference.
The services that are being provided by NGOs are the services that government should be providing. So NGOs are stepping into the gap and they're providing those services and they're not actually even being paid or being given the resources by government, who is the structure that should be providing the services in the first place.
Obviously, amplifying the message and sharing with people what are the things that help us bring down the rate of rape in South Africa. That's how we make change.
I think that we just have to keep battling with this. We just have to keep chipping away at every little bit, and everyone has a role to play.
There has to be like a very honest acknowledgement of the problem, and then there has to be very workable solutions, not lip service from the government. You know, the government has to see it as a priority.
I think it's only until there's a real understanding of the lack of access that women have to the economy because of the violence that stops them from getting there.